Have you ever stopped to think why so many older adults pass away quietly before the age of 82, even though they seemed perfectly healthy only a few years earlier? It's not usually heart disease, cancer, or some sudden accident. The real reason is something far more silent and surprisingly overlooked. I'm Dr. James, a men's health specialist with more than 30 years of experience helping seniors not only extend their years, but also live them with more energy and purpose. After decades of working with thousands of patients and reviewing countless studies, I began to see patterns most doctors never notice. What if I told you that one of the strongest predictors of life after 60 has nothing to do with blood pressure, cholesterol levels, or even fitness? Instead, it's tied to something most seniors rarely discuss, and many have given up on, often because of fear, shame, or misunderstanding. Today, I want to reveal a hidden key that helps people stay independent, mentally sharp, and full of vitality well into their 80s, 90s, and beyond. The best part? It doesn't require costly medications, grueling exercise routines, or strict diets. The truth is, this tool already exists within you, waiting to be reawakened. Stay with me because in just a few minutes, I'll share simple but life-changing steps you can start using right away to bring back your vitality. And I believe the last part of this talk might completely change the way you think about aging. Before we move forward, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss important health advice designed to help you stay strong, energetic, and independent. If you find this message valuable, type 1 in the comments. If you think there's something we could improve, type 2. Your feedback helps us support you even better. Now that you understand how critical this overlooked aspect of health really is, let's talk about one of the most damaging but least discussed issues affecting seniors today. A quiet epidemic that drains vitality, weakens the body, and shortens life long before its time, the gradual loss of connection to physical pleasure. Number 1, the silent epidemic among seniors, disconnection from physical pleasure. When I sit with patients in their 70s and 80s, I often notice a quiet sadness in their eyes, a sense that life has become smaller, colder, and less connected. Over the years, I've come to recognize one of the most damaging but hidden shifts that often happens with age, a slow disconnection from the body, from the physical pleasure that once made people feel so alive. It's not something many seniors talk about, but it's happening everywhere, quietly stealing energy and vitality, many times without people even noticing. Somewhere along the line, society fed us a false belief that intimacy, touch, and sexual expression belong only to young people, that once you cross a certain age, you're expected to shut the door on that part of your life. Many seniors accept this message, convinced that seeking or enjoying physical pleasure is somehow wrong, embarrassing, or impossible. Some withdraw because of physical changes, others because of emotional pain or loss, and still others simply because they don't know that not only is it possible to maintain, but it's also essential for long-term health. What most people don't realize is that this disconnection triggers a slow but damaging chain reaction. Without regular stimulation, blood flow decreases to important organs. Neural pathways linked to pleasure weaken. Hormone balance begins to shift in the wrong direction. Step by step, the body loses strength and resilience, not only sexually, but mentally, emotionally, and physically. Sleep worsens, mood sinks, and energy fades. Over time, even the immune system weakens, raising the risk of chronic issues like heart disease, memory decline, and depression. I've seen this again and again. People who were once full of life slowly lost their spark, not because their hearts stopped working or their bones gave out, but because they neglected the very source of vitality within them. It's no exaggeration to say that physical pleasure, whether shared with a partner or experienced alone, is one of the pillars of human health. Letting go of it because of shame, fear, or misinformation doesn't just take away joy, it can take away years of life. But here's the hopeful part. Reconnecting with your body and rediscovering long-forgotten sensations can begin a healing process deeper than most people realize. It's never too late to explore what your body is still capable of. In fact, it may be the key to unlocking better health, sharper memory, and greater emotional resilience than you thought possible. But what exactly makes physical pleasure so uniquely powerful in protecting your brain, heart, and independence? Stay with me, because what comes next might completely change the way you view aging. And if you're still here and these insights are resonating with you, I'd love for you to type 1 in the comments so I know you're on this journey with me. Now let's move on and uncover the truth behind the second point. Number 2, why self-pleasure after 60 is essential for longevity. Over many years, I've witnessed powerful transformations in patients who maintained a connection with their bodies as they aged. One truth stood out clearly: maintaining physical pleasure, including solo expression, is not just a luxury. It's a foundation for lasting health and a longer life. This may surprise you, especially if you were raised in a culture that treats this subject with discomfort or even shame. But biology speaks louder than cultural rules, and the science tells a very different story. After the age of 60, the body naturally begins to slow down in circulation, hormone production, muscle strength, and neurological function. Still, regular masturbation has been shown to counter many of these declines. When a senior engages in sexual activity, even alone, the body responds in surprising ways. Blood flow increases to the brain, heart, and limbs, nourishing tissues that might otherwise start to weaken. Endorphins are released, which calm stress and support deeper, more restful sleep. Testosterone rises slightly, helping to maintain muscle, bone strength, and emotional balance, all of which are essential for healthy aging. What's even more interesting is the effect on the brain. Research in neuroscience shows that sexual pleasure activates several regions of the brain at the same time, keeping neural pathways tied to memory, emotional balance, and decision-making strong. Simply put, it helps the brain stay young and adaptable. I've seen patients who continue this practice display sharper thinking, more creativity, and a noticeably brighter outlook compared to those who withdraw from it. Beyond the physical benefits, there is also a personal meaning. Masturbation after 60 is a way of affirming that your body is still worthy of care, touch, and pleasure. It challenges the harmful idea that aging means fading away. Instead, it reminds you that life can still be deeply felt and enjoyed. This self-connection often sparks other positive habits: improved eating choices, more interest in socializing, and even greater motivation to move and exercise. When patients ask me if it's too late to awaken this part of life, I always tell them kindly but firmly, it is never too late. The body may need extra patience, slower pacing, and a gentler touch, but it is still capable of meaningful, satisfying sensations that lift the spirit and extend health further than most expect. Now, you may be asking, if the benefits are so strong, why do many seniors struggle to hold on to this connection? The answer comes down to hidden and damaging misconceptions, and that's what we're about to address next. Number 3, common misconceptions that take away seniors' vitality. Over the years, I have seen how even energetic, healthy men and women can fall into quiet misconceptions that slowly drain their strength. Many don't even realize it's happening until one day they feel like only a shadow of who they used to be. These beliefs are not harmless. They are powerful, invisible ideas that convince seniors to let go of one of the strongest sources of health and happiness they still have. One of the saddest misconceptions is the thought that after a certain age, physical pleasure no longer matters. I've lost count of how many times I've heard, "I'm too old for that," said with a half smile of resignation. But the truth is, age doesn't erase your body's need for intimacy and touch. It only changes how that need is expressed. Ignoring this part of yourself because you think it's irrelevant is like living in a house but never turning on the lights. You'll get by, but you'll miss the warmth, color, and beauty that make life rich. Another painful belief is that seeking pleasure on your own is shameful. Many grew up in times when self-pleasure was spoken of in whispers or seen as a flaw. These old ideas can stay deeply rooted, creating guilt that lingers even into later life. But let me be clear, caring for your own body is not shameful. It is an important act of respect for your health, your life, and your spirit. There's also the false idea that holding back sexual energy somehow preserves strength. In fact, it works the other way. Regular sexual activity, even solo, supports the body by keeping hormones balanced, blood circulating, and tissues strong. Just like muscles lose strength without use, the parts of us tied to pleasure also need regular activation to stay healthy. Perhaps the most harmful misconception is thinking that sexual health stands apart from overall health. In truth, they are tightly connected, influencing one another in ways science is still uncovering. Taking care of one strengthens the other, and neglecting one weakens both. Recognizing these misconceptions is the first step toward reclaiming the energy and vitality still available to you. But awareness alone isn't enough. What you need next is a practical, step-by-step approach to reconnect with your body in ways that feel natural and safe. And that's exactly where we're heading next. If you're still with me and finding this information helpful, type the number 1 in the comments so I know you're following along. Now let's continue and move on to the valuable lessons waiting in point number 4. Number 4, the restoration method, step-by-step guide to regaining sexual vitality. When I first started helping older patients reconnect with their bodies, I noticed that encouragement alone wasn't enough. They needed a clear path forward. Not vague ideas or hopeful thinking, but a real, practical method they could follow with confidence. That's how the restoration method came to life. It's a structured, step-by-step process created specifically for the aging body, honoring the natural changes that come with time while restoring the connection between mind and body that often fades. The first step is preparation. Before anything else, you need to create an environment where you feel comfortable, safe, and free from interruptions. Adjust the temperature, choose a supportive chair or bed, and keep a high-quality lubricant within reach. These small choices send a strong signal to your body, you matter, and your well-being deserves attention. The second step is relaxation. This isn't a race, and it isn't a chore. Begin with deep breathing, letting your muscles soften and your heart rate slow down. Imagine tension leaving your body little by little, like grains of sand slipping through your fingers. This simple act of being present can unlock sensations you may have thought were gone for good. The next step is awakening. Here, you gently explore areas of your body that may have been neglected for years, the inner thighs, chest, and lower belly. Touch these places softly with curiosity rather than judgment. Pay attention to even the smallest responses. They are proof that your body is still alive and ready to connect with you. After this comes focused stimulation. With no pressure and no expectations, you gradually introduce more direct touch, allowing arousal to grow naturally in its own time. Slow, mindful movements create deeper sensations that are often missed when things are rushed. The goal is not to reach a finish line, but to enjoy the journey your body can still take you on. The last step is integration. This is when you pause, breathe, and thank yourself for investing in your own health. Allow yourself to enjoy the feeling of being alive, whether the sensation is gentle or strong. In this quiet acknowledgement, real healing begins. This method isn't about trying to relive the past. It's about embracing who you are today, with the wisdom, strength, and tenderness that come with age. Even the smallest spark of reconnection can remind you of the potential that still exists within you. But even with the right approach, the path isn't always smooth. Common obstacles can easily block your progress. In the next part, I'll show you how to avoid the mistakes most seniors make so you can stay on track toward lasting vitality. 5. Overcoming challenges, what to expect and how to keep going. Whenever I guide someone through the restoration method, I remind them that real change rarely happens in a straight line. It's natural to experience moments of frustration, doubt, or even discouragement. I've seen it many times, not because people lack the will to improve, but because they unknowingly fall into traps that make the journey harder. Knowing what challenges to expect and how to respond can mean the difference between giving up and achieving lasting renewal. One common challenge is unrealistic expectations. Many seniors think that if they follow the steps correctly, they should instantly feel the same way they did in their 20s. When that doesn't happen, disappointment can set in. But the reality is, your body has changed. That doesn't mean you've failed. It's simply part of life. Success is measured not by how quickly you reach intense pleasure, but by how much you reconnect with comfort, sensation, and presence. Even the smallest progress is proof that healing is happening beneath the surface. Another hurdle is inconsistency. Just like strengthening a muscle or regaining flexibility, rebuilding your sensual connection requires steady effort. Practicing only now and then, when the mood strikes, is like watering a plant once a month and expecting it to thrive. Aim for 2 or 3 sessions per week, not as a chore, but as an act of self-care. Over time, your body will reward you in ways that may surprise you. Performance pressure can also sabotage progress. Focusing too much on achieving a certain outcome creates stress and tightens the very muscles and blood vessels that need to relax. Release the idea that every session must end a certain way. Instead, focus on the process. Any feelings of pleasure, no matter how small, are victories worth celebrating, not failures compared to your younger self. And then there is shame. Old buried beliefs may whisper things like, "This isn't appropriate," or "I shouldn't need this." If those thoughts appear, meet them with kindness, not judgment. Remind yourself that seeking pleasure isn't selfish or unnecessary. It is part of honoring the body you still live in. Overcoming these obstacles isn't always easy, but it is worth every effort. Each time you practice patience and self-compassion, you strengthen not just your sexual vitality, but your overall spirit and resilience. As your confidence grows, you may find yourself ready for something even greater, the full restoration of your health and energy through a system designed for this stage of life. And what I'm about to share with you next could become the most powerful shift you've ever experienced. As we close this journey together, I want to leave you with this truth. Your body, your health, and your right to enjoy pleasure do not disappear with age. They evolve, but they don't vanish. Reclaiming this part of yourself is not about chasing youth. It's about honoring the life that still flows through you, the strength that has carried you for decades, and the spirit that continues to endure. I've seen men and women in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s reignite a spark they thought was gone forever. Along with it came renewed confidence, joy, and health. You deserve the same. It all begins with one decision: to believe that you are capable, deserving, and fully alive. Start with small steps, be patient, and treat yourself gently. Each choice to reconnect with your body is a choice to build not only more years into your life, but more life into your years. Your story isn't finished. Today you have the chance to write it with strength, dignity, and the fullness you were always meant to experience. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video.